What's up, everyone? This is Raine Cruz, and it's time for the rain check with UNF rising star Seth Knife Face Coleman. Hi, Seth. How are you?
I'm well, thank you, Rain. How are you?
I am doing good. It is great to finally have you here on the rain check, and it's great that finally you will have your first bout of the year, UNF 25, on May 31st at Commerce Casino. How excited are you?
I'm stoked. This is the most prepared I've been. I feel the best I've ever felt. I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm ready to rock the octagon here in 9 days, less 8 days.
Yeah. Yeah, it's coming up pretty fast, and I'm excited to announce you again.
Oh heck yeah! You get to. Okay, cool, cool, cool.
Yeah.
It's a good omen.
That's
It's a good fight when you're announcing it.
aw.
They're all good fights. But yeah.
Yeah. Now, your last bout was back in November of last year. It was against Daryl Westfall, and you guys put on a show. There's blood, hardcore punches, and we all love what we saw. After that hard fought battle, Seth, you won by unanimous decision. So, what went on through your mind when you heard your name as the winner, especially after you're going through a battle like that? Because I remember you guys are both bloody.
Yeah, we were both cut up. It turned into a real fun brawl. I I like like you can never be certain, but in my head I was like I totally won that fight. Like um as soon as the bell sounded, I knew it was mine. I felt like I probably should have gotten a stoppage, but
Mhm,
like I like that he also got the chance to defend himself. There was a few times where the referee was like, well, kind of gave the warning to just like defend yourself. And I'm like, okay, then I was just like, now going for the finish.
uh,
I felt like instead of rushing, if I would have sat down on the punches and really picked my shots to something more meaningful than instead of something in quantity,
mhm.
then I could have got the finish there. But a win is a win, and
Yeah,
I'm extremely grateful. Like had like a great time doing it, and yeah.
that's amazing, man. I remember just watching that cage side, and we're all like, "Oh my god, that's crazy!" And then it went all the way till the end of the fight, and then I think there's the respect between the two of you as well, you and Daryl. I thought that was amazing.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, he's a real swell guy. We wished each other Merry Christmas, and after that, we've talked about training together too. That's like couldn't have gone better. That's like my favorite thing about the sport is the mutual respect between me and my other athletes because we make each other better. You
Yeah.
know, there's no real animosity in it. We told still all bloody and stuff. I told him that I loved him and like
Oh.
and that's something that my coach Ozzy he does. He's like every time like I fight, I tell him I love him afterwards. I'm like, okay, cool. So I felt compelled and yeah, I think he hopefully is going to be there, and I see he's getting ready for his return to the octagon too, and I'm really really stoked for him. He needs to keep coming.
Ooh, I'm excited to see him again. Well, for you, Seth, one of the things that I love about you is, when I see you at UNF, especially after you fight, you know, you have your crucifix and your rosary. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think after after you won that bout against Daryl, was that the night wherein you had your crucifix or your rosary during your interview?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that night, and I was like, man, that is amazing. I love it when fighters express their faith, express their thanksgiving. And also, I don't know if you can see, I'm actually wearing my
Oh,
crucifix.
sick.
There you go. Because I'm interviewing you today. So I was like, I got to put this on. So for you, Seth, how important is it to be able to express your faith, especially when you're fighting?
It's most important. I mean, my it's my fighting and faith have like been so closely intertwined. I mean,
Mhm.
like one, I wouldn't be here without God. I wouldn't be um, having when you're getting ready to fight somebody, I swear, like, you pray more than you've ever prayed before, and, it's, like, all through the training camp, I'm very lucky to have, like, the same, faith-driven practice amongst, my teammates and coaches, you
Mhm.
know, like, we pray before we train, "God, give me strength." When I go into the ring, I knock the overhead,
Yeah,
3 times for the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit to bless, me and my opponent and the ref, when we're in there, and, I never wanted to be, like, the openly religious guy. I just, like I guess I'm relatively new, to being a convert and, like, just saying I'm Catholic and, like, embracing what judgments may come off of
mhm.
such a statement, um, and I wanted to represent that in the in the ring, like, I like going to I like going to mass and my, fellow parishioners, they like having me there because there's like, you know, well, you never judge a book by its cover, but some people might not see me and be like, "Oh yeah, that man's a Catholic religious fella," and um, you don't have to be you know clean cut or what have
Mhm.
you to follow Christ, and I'm glad that I can represent that for some folks.
Aw, I love that. That's amazing.
Thank
I
you.
I love that. And just so you know, every time, like, I see you, speak about your faith and represent your faith, I feel really proud to see that. And honestly, for me, I think it's very inspiring. It's very
No,
inspiring. So, so
thank
thank you for doing that.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, and to say specifically that I'm Catholic, like I know I love it when, fighters do thank God, and like I wanted to be specific in, carrying the symbol, like of the rosary and of the
Mhm.
crucifix and to thank my church. Yeah.
What's the name of your church again? Let's give him a shout out real quick.
Yeah, Saint Francis Xavier. Um the
And
only Japanese Catholic church in North America. And
really? Okay.
I mean, like, it, like, was just a church within walking distance, so and by me, like, going there and, like, you know, learning the history of that church specifically and, the history of Catholicism in the Far East was is fascinating. Like, um, I saw, like, your comment on, I had my confirmation, right?
Uh-huh.
So when I was putting on I forget what it's called, but um
Like the white, thingy that
the
yeah.
white
I don't
thingy.
know what it's called either, but I know what you're talking about.
When I was in the back, they had an icon of the Virgin Mary. Here's the camera. It's about this big.
Oh,
And during like I guess like the Imperial Japan,
uh-huh.
they would go door to door and they had this little icon and they would put it on the ground and they were like stomp on this icon of the Virgin Mary, and if you refused, you were put to death. And so all the Catholics that were put to death, in Japan for refusing to just even step on the icon of the Blessed Mother, and they had one of those there, and I was just like, wow, what faith, like to the willing to die for
Yeah.
it, and it's like I can say that I'm Catholic on social media, like I'm not risking anything. Um,
Yeah, but definitely, like, back in the day, right? It's you would actually it's either you say you are Catholic or you're like, you die basically if you admit you are Catholic. Wow. Well, so let's move on now to a different story.
yeah.
2 wins and only 1 loss, Seth. And to quote your Instagram post, 2025 is the year of the knife. Do you have a target number of fights that you want to do this year?
Yes, staying on schedule. I'm gonna fly right
Mhm.
through UNF 25. Sorry, Stefan, it's gotta happen. Um, then in July 11th, I believe it's the next UNF event. So that gives me, a little month to cool. I mean, a little week to cool off, and then another
Mhm.
month to get back into it. And still, I might take a title fight in a different
Organization.
organization in August, but that's tentative. Um, and I would like to, I love the UNF, so like I want to like stick it out with them. But if I can keep this once a month, trajectory going, hopefully be able to turn pro by the end of the year. And yeah, yeah, because for this will be my fourth fight. If I get
Mhm.
July and August, here's the camera. So that's six. I think around like 7 or 8 fights is appropriate.
Aw,
Considering like they'll take my coach's consideration in making that decision, but that's the goal.
okay. And then, like, so that's you think about that, like, for this year though, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay, that's amazing, I'm excited. Well, I hope I get to announce you in most of those fights because you mentioned that you're thinking of taking fights at a different organization, but I hope I get to introduce you and announce you as the winner.
Heck
Yeah,
yeah.
most in most of those fights. Now, Seth, I asked you this question when I first met you, but for those who do not know, how did you come up with the nickname Knife Face?
I didn't initially come up with people used to call me that because I have
Mhm,
a knife on my face, but
mhm,
yeah, people would just call me Knife Face because I was the only guy. I mean, well, like back in North Carolina, like having tattoos on your arms at the time was like a scandalous thing. So like to see a guy with tattoos on his neck and on his face was like, whoa, like I might as well
mm.
had two heads. And people would freak out to be like, oh, Knife Face, that guy. And I mean, it probably was not a term of endearment, but I don't really care. Um, and yeah, so I was like, I use the nickname interchangeably with my art.
Uh-huh.
My artist name is Nada 5150, and sometimes I call myself Knife Face. So I was just like, you know what, Nada 5150 is we'll stick for my music, and I'll be Knife Face in the fighting. So
Okay. Now the NADA 5150, like, what does that stand for?
Nada is Spanish for nothing, and it's a homage to my mom, who was a fighter and a musician, and she's Spanish, so like uh, I just wanted like a little nod to that, and I initially made music just as Nada, but I was a
Mhm.
I was a part of a group, and when I went solo from the group and moved to California, I added the 5150, which is like California like police code for like a danger to themselves or others, because I'm crazy. But yeah, so Nada 5150 has been my artist name for a minute, and
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah, and I picked nothing. I mean, like nothing is the name
Uh-huh.
because like, I think, like, when I was a kid, like, I had a therapist or something, and I was just like, "Oh, I hate everything, like, everything, blah, blah." And he's like, "Well, if you hate something, then you do have feelings for it. You care about it some level. The opposite of love is not hate, it's nothing." And I'm like, "All right then, well, I'm nothing. I've got no feelings, no attachments to anything." And so that's how Nada, came to be.
Oh, okay. Okay, it's interesting. That kind of leads me up to my next question because you are also a musician. And I love it that you basically are, like your mom, like you said, she used to be a musician and then a fighter. And you're actually using your song Knife Face as your entrance song at UNF 25. So, you mentioned that you wanted to be kind of like your mom. She's a musician, fighter. How did you get into the music industry then?
Forced my way in, just like I mean, trial and error, yeah.
Huh?
I mean, like, I started off fighting, like, I've been fighting, I've been in combat sports since I was 3 years old, just, like, yeah, push that to the furthest, and then when I started getting in, like, street fights and, like, I accrued, like, 14 broken bones by the time I was, like, 18, like, multiple concussions, so MMA was just starting, for me,
Wow.
and I was already, like, they said I'd never use my arm again, they said, "If you get hit in the head one more time, you'll be a vegetable," like, this and that, and so I was like, "Well, shit, like, my entire life I've been fighting, I gotta pivot,
Mhm.
I gotta do something else." And by the time I was 20 something, I was like, you know what? I think I'll try music. Like, just because I have all this energy, I want to fight, but like, where can I put this energy? And I'm like, well, let me put both feet into music. I'll just do it until I'm good at it, and then I'll be good at it until
Mhm.
it makes me money. And that brought me from North Carolina to LA. And then yeah, and that was the plan, like I didn't plan on getting back into fighting
Mm.
except for like a couple years ago when my brother died. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna hit something. And then I'm just like, for that whole time that I stepped away from fighting and was like making music, like all the music is about fighting. I'm thinking about fighting every day. I'm like, you know, I just want to get back in there. So like now I'm like, well, I'm just gonna give it all I can, take it as far as I can go, you know. And yeah.
That's good. Like just to be able to do the things that you love, right?
Mhm.
I feel like that's like your purpose in life, right? To be a fighter and a musician.
Amen. Yes.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, are there any similarities between being on stage as a musician and then as a fighter inside the cage?
100%. 100%. They're like it's a performance. It's performance controlling your own heart rate, staying calm, sticking to a plan. Um I would say they're exactly the same.
Mm.
And with the first time that I did a live show, and the first time I did a fight, it was like a fish to water. I knew I could do this. Like I'm like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And yeah,
Isn't that a great feeling?
it
Right?
is.
When you feel like, "Oh my god, I'm meant to be here."
Yeah, I'm like this is like, some people like I guess like when you conceptualize it, when you think about like, oh man, getting in front of folks and doing something risky, dangerous, um, seems so daunting, but when you do
Mhm.
it and it's feels great, then that's where you're supposed to be. Yeah.
That's amazing. Now, just listening to you, Seth, I hear someone who's very inspiring, someone who can motivate others. And I feel like that translates to you as a teacher because I know you also teach boxing, right?
I do, I do.
So, what is something about training others, especially, training them in boxing? What is something that kind of gives you? Like, do you feel like you improve as a fighter when you're teaching somebody else?
100%. Well, thanks for asking. Yeah, no one's really asked me about the coaching side of stuff. Like that's I actually started teaching the beginners MMA at my
Mm,
gym Forge. And 7 p.m. is the highlight of my day. I look forward to like getting in there. And I've got just like such a spectrum of people who come into the class. Like
mhm,
we got a little guy who's as young as 8 who wants to be a fighter. We got, folks who are putting on gloves for the first time. And we've got some guys who've been coming for like a year, and he's about ready to make his debut in MMA. You're hopefully going to see him in the UNF cage. And yeah, and look out for he's a monster. And it's just I learn a lot from teaching, and it makes me want to be my best, because I think about my students all the time, like even when I'm not there. And it sounds nutty, but like it makes me want to be a dad because I'm just like,
aw,
ooh, I think about, just like what I want to teach. And I take the lessons from I've been lucky enough to have great coaches. I think about uh my coach Ozzy. He was like, be the coach that you want to be the person, say the things that do that. And I'm just like, that's it's nice. I try to talk to myself like they would, and I talk to them in that same regard. And seeing them grow from like, you know, I'm too tired, I can't do this, to them like knowing how to fight. I'm like, holy smokes, like way to go, kids. I mean, like it's not all kids. We got some grown folks in there too, but it's such a joy.
oh, that's amazing. Now, will some of your students be at UNF 25 to support you?
Yes, yes.
Ooh.
They're gonna be there. They're stoked. They're all like, it's such a community, like because they see me day in day out. They see me cutting weight these days, and they
Mhm.
know the preparation. Um and it's really cool. It makes me like rise to the occasion. Like I want to be the coach that they see that I am. I want to be the fighter that they am, that they think I am, or that I
Mhm.
actually am. And yeah.
That's amazing. So you're like fighter, and then musician, and then you're a coach. I
Mm,
love that. I love that.
me
And
too.
as you talk about it, I see you like smiling a lot too. It's like, oh, it's like you found your happy place.
It's a life beyond my wildest dreams. I mean, like it sounds cornball, but it's the truth, you know. Like I never thought that I'd get to, make a living doing all these things, and it's a hustle for sure, but
Mhm.
it's worth it. And the whole thing has grown me closer to God, and that it's it's right. I'm right where I'm supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? And to feel like that has been great.
Oh, amen. And you know why? It's because you're always thankful and grateful.
Uh, to, it,
Right? I feel like when people are thankful and grateful for what they have, it's like God blesses them even more. Because it's like, oh, you're actually appreciative of what I'm giving you.
mm-hmm. That's where it is. Me and like my other friends who are like we're training and like fighting together. Like life doesn't go on pause because you're getting ready for a fight. It seems like all the little, like problems, dramas, like everything comes up when, like the dog barks when he knows you're about to do a camera thing, like that's when life turns on. But like when I like can breathe and remind myself of all the good things, then
Mhm.
I notice more good things and maybe more good things come to me. Yeah.
Amen. I love that. Now, so you are great with promoting yourself. Now, you talk about, inviting the good things to come your way. So, Seth, I'd like for you to invite your dream sponsor. Do you have a brand that you kind of think of like, you know what? I want to partner with that brand one day. I want, to represent, their apparel or like maybe some, I don't know, some food related stuff or supplement. Do you have like a particular brand that you want to be partners with someday?
Okay. Yes. Two of them came to mind. Uh, this is like my favorite restaurant in
Uh-huh.
LA is BCD Tofu House. And if you've never been there, it's rad. It's like it's 24-hour Korean food, like just it's just the bomb. Like when I have friends come visit me from out of state, I'm just like, in LA, we have Korean food all hours of the day and night. You got to check out BCD Tofu House. So that's where we go. And like I, but as far as like another dream collaboration would be with Y3, which is Adidas and Yoji Yamamoto, who is a avant-garde Japanese fashion designer. He makes this like sportswear of the future, just like really cool, stylish shit. Excuse my language. And since it's his look on sportswear, and
Mhm.
it's all like done with Adidas's infrastructure. So he'll pick a sport for each season to like model his line afterwards, and he's done like skateboarding or track or um like even like skiing or mountain
Mhm.
climbing, and there'll just be a whole like kind of like goth kind of cool like fashion line based off of that. And I'm just like, when they do MMA, I'm their guy. When they make the MMA fashion line, like yeah, hit up Knife Face.
Call him. Call him as soon as possible.
Mhm.
That's amazing. Okay, I cannot wait to see you in the cover or like on their Instagram page, like sporting their MMA brand or MMA apparel. That'll
Let's
be
ball.
amazing. And then I feel like after you win your fight at UNF 25, you're gonna celebrate at BCD Tofu House because they're open 24/7.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah,
the plan, right?
that's the plan.
That's awesome. Now, Seth, before I let you go, do you have any message to your supporters, the knife face faithfuls? That's what I'm going to call them.
The Knife Face faithful. I like that.
Mhm.
I want to thank all my sponsors who where are we? Believe in me,
Brody
Protege.
J. Oh my
Oh,
God.
yeah.
Hi, Brody J.
Hi Protege, hi Hot Boys. Um, yeah, you, my friends at the gym, my training partners, my coaches, and everyone at UNF. Like, I think we're gonna have a blast, and we'll finish out May strong. Yeah, on you.
That's awesome. Well, Seth, we love having you at UNF. You're one of the fighters that, for me personally, every time I would see you, you always have that big smile on your face. And now, just like by talking to you, I I know why, because you are grateful. You are thankful for everything that you have in your life, and it shows. You have that like inner glow, and like people like see it, and you have a very inspiring story, and I love how just listening to you, man. It's like, man, you are genuinely like inspiring and motivating, and I cannot wait to see what the future holds for the Knife Face.
Thank you, Rain. I appreciate you a lot, and we're big fans too. Like, oh my, I brought a date to the last UNF
Mhm.
fight, and she was like, "Oh, who is she?" And she's like, "Oh, she's Filipino. I can tell she's Filipino." So my lady, and she's just like super jazzed, and like yeah, started following you and all that. So
Ah, well,
she,
thank you. I appreciate it. Please
I
tell her
told
that
I
thank
told her we
you.
were doing that. I had an interview with Raine Cruz, and she was like, "Oh, cool."
Oh, that's amazing. Well, I hope I get to meet her
Mm,
at some point. Yeah. Yay. Awesome. Well, Seth, thank you so much. Guys, please do follow Seth at Nada 5150, right? 5150
that was
NADA 5150 on Instagram. From there, you can find links to his YouTube page, to his podcast, Knife Pod,
mm.
and to his album, which you need to listen to his album, by the way. Love
Did
his
you listen
music.
to it?
Yeah, especially your song. I love your entrance song. So
Oh, that's so
Knife Face.
that's
And it's with Project Pat. Am I correct?
Project Pat. Yes, it
Okay.
is.
There you go. You guys
Project
should
Pat's a
listen to his
legend.
album. He has amazing music. And please do not miss Seth Knifeface Coleman versus Stephan Kilim at UNF 25 live from Commerce Casino in Los Angeles, California on May 31st. Tickets are still available at upnextfighting.com. Seth, this is an incredible opportunity to actually have you here on the Rain Check. I've been wanting to interview you, and now I am glad we finally got to do it. Please do come back on the Rain Check, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Seth. He is Seth Knifeface Coleman. I am Raine Cruz, and this is the Rain Check, and we are checking out. Bye.